All right, good morning, teachers, sweet potato growers out there. We are here in the back end of September, so now is about the time we need to start digging up or thinking about digging up our sweet potatoes. And if you look at our plants, you know, we can kind of get a sign that they're about ready to harvest. We notice a lot more kind of yellowing in the foliage in the plants. But we also know we planted these in May. We're about 120 days after planting, so the plant should be mature at this point. But you know, that's another good clear indication is we're starting to see in the centers just a lot more yellowing in the foliage. These potatoes are ready to come out. So the way I prefer to harvest is, you know, we see we've got a lot of vegetation on top, is really your two tools that you're going to want to have handy is I like a good kind of spading fork like this and some hand pruners. Hand pruners are really just to get the tops off, so we can get in where the fun is happening, which is, you know, obviously down in the soil. So again, just kind of, you know, being careful not to catch your finger or your hands, but we're gonna prune off as much of these vines as we can. You can kind of see they just have gone everywhere in this bed. Some of them have re-rooted from the initial planting, but you can see, Mike, if you show, this was where we had an initial plant, but as we start digging these up, we're probably going to find random tubers in, you know, just different places. So we had a plant here, a plant here, a plant here, and kind of followed that pattern along this bed. And this is just a standard kind of 4x8 raised bed. And look at all this mass that's going to come off. It's a great thing to compost if you want, or just use as a mulch. This is going to dry and die pretty quickly. But if you need a kind of mulch, if you're not planning on planting anything for the fall season, this could just lay on top of your soil after you're done digging your plants. Again, be really careful where you're swinging this thing. It's pretty easy to overlook your fingers.
And the irrigation hose.
Yeah, and the irrigation hose. You know, as we have drip line, you may not have drip line. I don't think we've watered these really at all this summer, and you can see once they get up and get going, they do a pretty good job of getting by on limited water. This is probably the bigger chore in this whole process, is just getting it clear so we know where we can start forking. All right, that guy. Okay, I'll grab my fork. And this is pretty soft soil. So we know we have a plant here. We're gonna just kind of start lifting up the soil gently around it. These tubers are pretty easy to damage. And in a soft soil like this, you can almost use your hands and just sort of dig it back so as not to break, crack, otherwise damage your nice, beautiful sweet potatoes. Hopefully I'm not going to be disappointed. It's almost like digging for treasure. You don't know exactly how big they're going to be or what you're going to find when you dig them. There's a good one. There. So there we go. Ideally, when we pull these out, we don't wash them, we don't do anything. Sweet potatoes are going to be best if we cure them. Curing means we pull them out, they stay dry, relatively dark, but somewhat high heat. So in years past, we've put them in our shed over there and closed it up for about a week. 10 days is ideal. And that'll help these things just taste that much better. The sugars get a little more accumulated. So ideally, we don't pull these straight from the ground into the cafeteria or into the kitchen. They do best if they're cured. You can use a covered porch or something. We don't want them in direct sunlight, but you know, higher heat, somewhat higher humidity is going to be best to cure them, and then at that point we can wash them. After that skin, and that curing process also helps to harden that skin, because right now my fingernail could even scratch that skin. So there we go. That's sweet potato harvest, quick and dirty. You can see we've got more work here to do now, but that should give you the information you need to know to harvest your sweet potatoes in the school garden this year. All right, so this was all of the potatoes from this one initial plant, and you can notice we kind of broke some. This thing was all one tuber. That's fine. Again, that curing process is going to help to harden off this broken end. And then the way I try to sort them after that is we try to use up these first. The ones that, you know, again, they're going to cure off, they're going to be fine, but they're obviously not going to keep for 3 or 4 months. You can see that's where I hit it with the spading fork. That's going to harden off. We don't want to wash this soil off. We want to take it direct in here into the curing shed, let it sit. That area is going to harden off. Again, these would be one of the first ones that we try to use, and we can just kind of cut that area off, not a problem. But don't be surprised, especially in these soft soils and the raised beds, if you end up with ones that are just really, really long. So try to not just pull and tug, because that's what will happen, is they'll just kind of snap off. So it's great when these soils are nice and dry like they are now, because it makes for pulling these out a lot easier. The soil is not heavy and sticking to them. So don't water before we want to dig them. And actually this week would be a great time, maybe before this tropical storm comes through, to get in here in these dry soils and start to tug them out. So anyway, I think that's all. If you guys have any more questions, you can always email me at jfuder, F-U-D-E-R, @uga.edu. Thanks.